Hey, we're live.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Like the Way You Drink.
Yeah. I'm looking a little blue on as I tint things on my window. Well, there it goes. It finally goes clear. I was like, wait a minute, I was looking blue.
I was actually going to say, whoa, what's going on with all the blue? We don't need for you to be blue. We need for you to be cheery and happy.
I can change some of my lights to red, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, well,
Hold on.
unless you're doing orange, well, red because of what we're doing today. Red would actually, okay, there you go.
There you go.
That,
I can do part red. I can do red on one side, blue on the other. There we
there you go.
go. Anyway. And see, it does a blue tint until there's something with the sun
That comes in and
that
then,
throws the shadows of the light to blue. I don't know what it is.
yeah, when I've gotten some lights in here, sometimes it's just like way too bright, and then I look pasty white on Zoom. It just depends. It just depends.
There we go. Let me tweak it that way. All right, I did a little tweak. So anyway, we've got an interesting drink tonight. All
Yes.
right. Did you read as to whether it was shaken or stirred?
It said just to stir.
Yeah. I
in
think
my,
I want to shake it, but I want to do it both ways.
yeah, this one I figure it's easy enough to stir. Shaken. Yes, if you want to just get that. That's always I always got the shaker on hand, but also I have my big cubes because gotta have those big cubes, and of course my fun glasses. And actually, not. I have a cold and a hot one, so I wanted to do something a little something something.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm like, surprise. So I thought, you know what? It is winter, so we need something warm. So besides the apple cider cocktail, I also have a spiked hot apple cider. So that's why I have the Breckenridge bourbon out here. It calls for bullet bourbon, but I'm out of bullet. And so Breckenridge was here, so I'm going to be using this one. And I have this one in warm. So if you don't mind, I would love to start with this because it's warming up my hands.
Do
What
it.
I,
Do
what I
it.
did with this one is that I got apple cider, just this is signature brand. I didn't go with the Mott's. I looked at it and I said apple cider, apple cider. The ingredients were the same, so I went with signature for $1.99 versus the $3.50 for Mott's. So,
Okay. Yeah. Well, I got Mott's.
well, the other one was this big thing that was like $8 or $8.99, $9, and I went, yeah, I'm not going to splurge that much, at least not right now. Maybe later on when I make this. But so this one is 1 cup cider, 1 teaspoon of orange juice. I actually use the Simply Orange, not this orange here.
Yeah.
Half a cinnamon stick, and then it calls for 2 cloves and a whole star anise. I did 4 cloves because I didn't have the star. You boil it. Once it boils, then you simmer for 10 minutes. And then you come up with this deliciousness that smells absolutely delicious. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this smells so good. And you can drink it just like
Mixing cocktails in a mason jar.
I'm holding my cocktail in the mason jar. So then it calls to 1.5 ounces of bourbon.
Okay.
Yes. And it is so warming. I'm like, oh my goodness, that just sounded so delicious. Bartel Drugs, thank you so much for this one. I tweaked it just a little bit from your recipe, but I still needed to make it because I'm like, oh, it just, look at that beautiful color. And actually, it's 1.5 ounces of bullet. It's going to be Breckenridge bourbon from the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. What I used yesterday when I tried it out, and I was like, because it sounded yesterday, I wanted something warm. I used the whiskey that I got from Skunk Brothers, which is for our next drink. But for now, I just thought this is a nice warm drink. Look at that color. Doesn't it look beautiful?
Yes.
And it's yum. So essentially, just get apple cider, a little bit of orange, cinnamon stick, throw a few whole cloves. It's the whole cloves, and then just let it boil and simmer. And you can do 1 or 2 cups. I made one because I wanted to try it, and it was just that cinnamon gives it great flavor, and then the whole cloves gives it a little bit of a kick. And then you get a good bourbon to throw in there, nice warm. And the thing is, before you add the bourbon, you can give the cider to the kiddos. So if you want non-alcoholic, hold back the bourbon.
Yes. Oh, so it's just one alcohol being added, and you add it at the end. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So if you want just something warm, warm up your apple cider. So easy peasy. And yes, I put it in the mason jar because look, lid, airtight. Okay, so let's move on to the yumminess of the apple cider cocktail. So
our drink was an apple cider cocktail. We found it on the Bartell Drugs website, and I think you originally found by searching it somewhere else, right?
Rite Aid. So
Rite Aid. And it led from Rite Aid to Bartell Drugs, yeah.
Because they had all these fall drinks, and as we started to poke around, one of the drinks was inspired by Bartell, and then as we were looking, well, it was pumpkin libations. Towards the bottom, it was apple cider. So we figured pumpkin would be great for November, but cider would be good for October. That's why we're doing cider this week. Absolutely delicious. So for the other drink, it calls for sorry, Fireball. I don't care for Fireball.
Yeah, the drink called for apple cider, Captain Morgan dark rum, Fireball cinnamon whiskey. I think both of us, we're both adamant not users of Fireball whiskey.
No,
it's got too much of a chemical taste to it.
Yeah, it tastes metally, chemically. It just doesn't taste right. And so it was after I had ran the Bridge of the Goddess. So we were on the Bridge of the Gods, and we ran across the Bridge of the Gods from where Washington and Oregon separate. There's this bridge. It's called Bridge of the Gods. $2 to $3. Sorry, $3 as a toll, no matter which direction you're going. And so mainly women. It was 99% women. I think there was a token handful of guys that ran it, and so all these women are wearing all sorts of beautiful attire. Some had wings, some had what one of them considered being a goddess. She was wearing a judge's outfit and had the gavel. It was amazing. Then we had blind Lady Liberty, where she didn't run blindfolded, but she had her scales. I mean, it was really cool. These ladies just came up with so many different ideas. So after running that half marathon, crossed over the Bridge of the Gods into Washington, and Skunk Brothers, they were at the Stevenson Farmers Market. And I saw this and I was like, cinnamon? And I didn't get to taste it immediately because they were at the farmers market, and I guess Washington laws did not allow them to do the tasting at the farmers market. Mm-hmm. And I was like going, but I want cinnamon. And so she's telling me about it. I said, but I want to taste. She says, so take this pathway, and that's where the distillery is. So Sean met me there, and we ended up going to the distillery. I got a whiskey. I got the corn whiskey, which is supposed to be their moonshine, that they can call it. Got to taste this cinnamon whiskey. Absolutely delicious. It's corn whiskey with natural flavors. So they do everything natural. This one has, let me see, it's an 80 proof, 40% alcohol by volume. But they make it there in Stevenson, Washington. And I'm like, you know what? This is just amazing. I tasted it.
And corn is your base, right?
The corn, yes. So this is a corn base at Skunk Brothers Spirits. So Skunk Brothers Spirits, so there's 2 S's there, .com. You can check them out. And then it says get skunked on the back, which is kind of cool. They've been around for a little bit, but they have all sorts of different drinks. And this was one that I absolutely had to get because of this particular drink. So that was almost a month ago that I knew. And this is the beauty about planning ahead, where we know we can start searching for things. And so this was one that I couldn't remember what drink it was, but I do remember I was going to need something cinnamony. So here we go.
Yeah.
This particular one. It says, it's a young boy mistook a skunk for a dog in a snowstorm. From that day on, the boy was known as Skunk, and he raised the skunk wherever he could. Well, that boy grew up to be the man he called Dad, and we are here to carry on his legacy. So, Skunk Brothers, because Dad confused the skunk for a dog, and
Okay.
poor Skunky. So,
So we've got an interesting mix with it. All right, I know the drink was very simple, and I didn't have any of the dark rum, but I basically took some of the rums I had on my shelf to improvise. And I did use a Captain Morgan. I had a Captain Morgan White in a sample bottle, and I have the what was it? The White Horse? Was it the White? What was this called? White Horse?
is that the one you got?
Hold on a second. It was a couple weeks ago. We did Wild Horses Distillery
Okay.
that we got a couple weeks ago. We tasted this on the show. All right, and I still have a batch 15, bottle 15. So from 2009. But I don't use cinnamon, and the reason I switched and stopped using. When I first tasted Fireball, I thought it was great, but then I tasted cinnamon, Jim Beam cinnamon, and Jack Daniel's cinnamon, which are both very great whiskeys with cinnamon. Until I went down to the hill country, down where my friend Sandra D. Robinson lives. All right, and she took me to the distillery down there called Iron Hop or Iron Wolf. And Iron Wolf makes this one called Iron Hot.
Yeah.
Very, very. And I used to make with the Jim Beam. I used to make my barbecue sauce. I now make it with this Iron Hot. It is a more sweet taste, and when you taste comparison to it, all right, to that Fireball, it's like this is like a sweet, sugary taste as opposed to a chemically induced sweetness. That's what I can say. That's the way it tastes. It tastes like it's a chemically induced to try to make it sweet. It's not the same, But have you ever tasted it's like going from tasting a Diet Coke to tasting a Cherry Coke.
Yeah, there's
a Diet Coke has got the Coke flavor to it, but you're missing some of that little bit of that sweetness. All right. Then you go to the Cherry Coke, which not only has the sweetness of the Coke, but it has the flavor of cherry on top of it. It's like, that's the difference between the two. So that's why I went with that. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So I went with the Kraken Black Spiced Rum, 94 proof. So this is the little guy. The big guy's at home.
Yeah.
So
We
let's
had
get
the homework things too, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've used this one before. So Kraken is it's really cool because it's release the Kraken, and I think about Sheldon Cooper every single time. But I will tell you, how you get used to going to certain places where you buy your whatever it is. In our case, it's our liquor. For you, you're finding your new space now because you live in a different town, so therefore you're finding what are the liquor stores that are going to have what you need. Besides Total Wine and More, which I go to a lot, it's usually the Wilsonville Stafford Liquor, which is amazing. I've known them for some time, even before they had their liquor store. They've expanded. They have this huge space. It's amazing. Lovely staff. Always very helpful. They spend the time. The last time I was in there, it's like the guy spent like 20 minutes with me answering different questions while I, got everything that I needed. The other one is State Line. What I love about State Line is they know I do this podcast, and sometimes when I walk in, it's like, oh, what's your podcast about on Monday? They know, they remember, and a lot of ladies work there, so I absolutely love that. Well, I went to a different liquor store because I needed to buy the Kraken. I had already known this is what I want. This is what I'm going to use. But Sean was out, so I'm like, well, might as well buy the big bottle of Kraken, and then buy the little one so I don't have to carry it around or put it in a mason jar. I figured get the little guy. So going in for one thing, but I like to peruse because sometimes different liquor stores have different things that catch my attention. This particular liquor store has great cigars. Didn't go in there today, but I had gone in there before for a cigar and a whiskey. But I was with a friend from Switzerland. So big guy. So they're catering to him. They weren't catering to me, and that was fine. Well, I go in yesterday and I said, "Oh yeah, I need the big one for home and the little one for my podcast." And the guy says, "TMI," and walked away. And then the other guy was the one that did the checkout and everything. And I went, I don't know, if a podcaster is going to be using a product you sell, somehow telling them TMI and walking away is not the way to do. So I was very disappointed with that liquor store, and I will not be going back. So I thought I would share. And that's why we have the liquor stores that we go to, because y'all take care of us.
Yep.
So that was my story about Kraken. But the Kraken, they've been around for some time, and I can't read any of the information here. I think we talked about it, but even the bottle, even the little bottle, has the Kraken logo as well as the Kraken name, both in the front and the back. So this little bottle looks the same as the big bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Little guy runs about $2.50. The big bottle runs about anywhere. In Oregon, $32. In Washington, $34 plus tax and all that good stuff. It's about $38. So it is absolutely delicious. So this one, it calls for 1 cup of apple cider, and then it calls for 1.5 shots of your Captain Morgan, so in this case the Kraken, and 1/2 shot of cinnamon whiskey, which is this one. So these are the 2 guys that we're using today, at least from my end. Skunk Brothers Cinnamon and the Kraken. And then you can also put 1 big ice cube if you like. So you have a couple of options. One of them is put it in the stir.
I'm going to shake one while you're doing yours. I'm doing my second one to shake, and I'm going to compare them.
Okay. So you have a couple of options. One of them is put ice, put everything in here, shake for 30 seconds at least, and pour it into your glass. The other is use a big cube, pour and stir, or no ice whatsoever. So it just depends on what you prefer. I put it in here because I wanted to taste a little bit of the apple cider before doctoring it up as I did with this one. And I wanted to have it directly with butternut squash soup. So that's what we made or bought, was butternut squash soup. I made this one.
Yeah, I bought one and heated it up.
Okay. So,
but it's an organic one that I get regularly from Kroger.
Okay, there you go. So mine is nice and thick. We put a little bit of cornstarch. So there's various ways that you can thicken up a soup. Some of it is to thin it out. Just put some broth, whether it be in this case, I use chicken broth on this one. You can use vegetable broth, even beef broth, although I think beef is a little too strong for this. I would suggest either chicken or vegetable broth to thin it out, or to thicken it, get a little bit of the broth, put a little bit of cornstarch, and then put it in there and let it stir. So that's what happens. You get the white froth on top or no froth. So depending on
shaking it, that's why. And it's going to, cider is going to do that when you shake it.
So you can measure the little guy. Again.
Oh, shaking is 10 times better.
Really?
Oh yeah. It shocked it by shaking it. It shocked the cider.
Oh really? Okay, so I might actually throw it in there and shake, senora. So.
Yeah, it shocked the cider and really infused infused your rum and your whiskey into it.
So I didn't I didn't have my big cube, so I'm just going to use the 1 big cube, which is still going to work. Ooh, I can hear it frothing up in there.
Oh my gosh!
But yeah, just make sure you really vigorously
really hold the lid on this, because it will. Yes. This one here is one that will pop.
Yeah.
Because you're almost adding like the seltzer to a drink. You're almost like adding that to that, because that's what the cider will do.
Okay, so this one, it tightened it up because, again, the pressure.
Yeah, and I pulled the bottom and I poured ice cubes and all in. All right, and it's still frothy on top. Look at that. I mean, it's been sitting for a minute. And when I taste this, now I was tasting the other one with the soup. I'm telling you, this is it pops flavor into everything.
Okay, so and look at the color difference. It's again that spiced rum
Yeah.
and the cinnamon that darkens it. So, oh, that smells really nice. Okay. Now, mind you, I did not put in the full half. I still have a half an ounce in here. I only did the 1 ounce. And then I'm going to pair that with the butternut squash. Oh, that goes nicely. I like that. So what happened when I had the ginger snap cookies with the warm spiked cider?
Yeah.
It really brought out the clove in here. I could taste that spiciness, and it brought the ginger. So there was this gingery, clovey, which was like stronger on the palate, which I liked. Whereas last week, I think because it was a little bit on the sweeter side, I didn't care for that overly powerful bite. This one, it's a warm drink. And so right now, I think it's pairing well. But I'm going to try it with the apple cider cocktail. Oh,
The drink.
and then
The only thing this drink could use more of. Oh yeah, and I do have several apple slices, which I've been doing here. I didn't put mine on the edge. I put mine in the cup.
oh, nice idea.
So, but here's something I'm doing though. While I'm using my apple slices as a snack, as you can see, I cut them about a half hour ago, so they're starting to brown.
If you come across Cosmic Crisp,
Yeah.
they were an apple that were generated out of Washington State, where I did cut it in half, and I cut off also like a Bartlett and a Fuji, and the other two browned. The Cosmic Crisp, after an hour, barely had any color on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they
mine are Granny Smith.
Okay, and then another thing to do is you can rinse off your apple, just like with produce. If you slice up tomato and just rinse it off very gently, what it does is that the metal from the knife is what causes that oxidation. So if you rinse it, it helps remove it, which then helps your apple stay not start to brown so quickly.
No, I washed my apple before I cut it. That's where my mistake was.
Okay, well, it's fine, but make sure you wash it after. So I rinse these little puppies off in order to keep them from browning as quickly. So I'm gonna, get this picture here because I want the Kraken and I want my Skunk Brothers. So that way, when we're showing off what we've done with their liquors, their alcohols, they can say, "Hey, good idea." And Skunk Brothers actually also has a lot of different ideas on. I haven't been poking around as much as I normally would of different ideas of cocktails to make with their liquors and whiskeys and such.
Yeah. So, what do you think about pairing this with the soup tonight?
So I'm going to try it with this one because I had tried it with the warm. I really like that.
I think this was a good pick to go with this drink tonight. Was this butterscotch, our butternut squash soup? Now, butternut squash soup is something that can be eaten both hot or cold.
Yes.
Most of our listeners probably don't know that. All right. And you reminded me of that when we were picking that. And she's, we can do that hot or cold. And I wasn't sure. I heated mine up just before we went on air because I wanted mine warm. All right. And, but it does cool down because, like everything else we do on the show, over an hour time, our food cools down.
Whether we wanted to or not.
Yes.
Well, I kept this with, covered to try to keep it warm, but it's only going to stay as warm as, for a certain period of time. So this particular butternut squash was roasted garlic and butternut squash soup.
I should have brought my container in, but I actually, it's one that I get regularly because I really like it. And, even if you're somebody who's not a cook, is why you get these mixes. And like I go through, like I said, it's Kroger, it's the organic brand and Kroger. And I'm not a soup maker, right? Gwen loves to make soups, but I don't. But I loved it in this wintertime. I like to eat soups.
Yeah, because it's
So
cold.
I buy them that I can heat up, right? And tonight I heated this in the microwave, but normally I would put it in a small pan and I would sit there at the stove and stir it, right? Because it just tastes better.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite soup is tomato soup.
Mm.
I love tomato soup, and I will make it with water, not cream, and I love it that way. And then I will just sprinkle a little basil into it. That's me, how I like it. Now I do love quite a lot of people who do tomato basil soups, but in the wintertime, it's tomato basil soup. All right,
With grilled cheese.
huh?
With grilled cheese.
With grilled cheese. Yep. This butternut squash soup is another great one that I love. We've done another one that's done cold. All right, it's like a raspberry beet type soup, and I can't remember what you call it. But Gwen does it cold, and that's another one that's really good. Gwen comes out again. Gwen loves making these. All right, but when I'm in that thing, when Gwen's away and I want soups, I go to the store and I buy I buy those organic things that you can pour them out. All right, and heat them, because the container is good for another 8 months.
Right. And the thing is that even with something like that, whether it be butternut squash or maybe a tomato soup, you can always add a few things. So your tomato soup, you can add some fresh basil in there as you're heating it, or to eat it with. You can mix it up.
I'm going to tell you what I used to do with tomato soups. Is I used to add the basil to it. Yes, I used to chop some parsley and put into it.
Okay.
And I used to chop some fresh tomatoes and put into it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. Most people thought that was strange. I like that because I don't necessarily cook them. All right. Like, but they're there. So it's like you can pull the fresh tomato out.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing I like. I don't know. Other people might not. Other people might think that's strange. Most of you may think that's strange. I love it. I don't know why. I just do.
No, I like that. That's a great idea. There's so many little things you can do, like with the butternut squash. You can do a creme fraiche, and if you're like, I don't want to buy creme fraiche just for that, so get a little bit of sour cream and just add a little bit of water, not much, so just get a little cup, throw in a dollop of daisy, a little bit of water, and just swirl it around. Then with the same spoon that you swirled it around, you pick it up and then you drizzle it on top, whether it be lines or droplets, whatever it is. And that's essentially creme fraiche. Is like a sour cream. It's just slightly different. It's slightly different texture. The flavor is going to be slightly different, but you know what? It's the same concept. And so you can add that or crumble a little bit of cheese, but I prefer the creme fraiche on top. One, because it looks pretty. Two, because it tastes good when you're mixing that warm butternut squash and then that cool sour cream, if you will. It just goes so well together. And you could have it with a dinner roll or not. Just by itself, it's absolutely delicious.
Now I'm curious. Our second food choice that we've been having we did it last week, we did it this week again, was the ginger snap cookies. Ginger snap cookies are something that they're just like an explosion of fall taste to me.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going with it, you want to go with a cookie. All right, it is. It's like it's like pumpkin spice. It's not pumpkin. It's the spice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's what ginger snap cookies are to me. They're always that pop of spice to go with things that will accent the flavor.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Very rarely would I pick up a box of ginger snap cookies and eat them unless I'm doing something with them. I don't know why.
Me either. I'll do sugar cookies maybe, but not ginger snap. So last week I wasn't all that thrilled because it was fine. But this time with this particular one, the apple cider cocktail, I think because you have a spiced rum.
I didn't do a spiced rum, and I'll bet you anything that would be more of a kick if I did.
Yeah, this, because you have a little bit of the sweetness of the cider, You have the cinnamon in there. You have the dark spiked, dark rum, spiced rum. This and this go very well together.
Yeah.
And actually, even this one was fine because this particular spiked drink toned it down just a little bit. But here, this was like, oh yeah, I liked it because it brought out that rum, that spiced rum in this drink along with the cinnamon. So this was a good pairing. I really liked it. It went well with the butternut squash because the butternut squash had a certain level of sweetness in there. I think it was the roasting, but it paired well. So I was happy with both food pairings and both drinks with this. Yes, absolutely.
Now, if you take an apple slice, by the way, and you dip it into your soup, it's really good.
Ooh. Oh.
Yes, no? What do you think?
You got the sweetness of the Honey Crisp, and then all the flavors in the butternut squash, even though there's a sweetness in there. This pairs very well. So who cares about bread? Don't add carbs. Add a sliced apple.
Mm-hmm.
How did that go? Ooh.
But you know what I'm going to do before, the end of the show, because I have to? Because I have my iron hot out. I'm just going to pour a little iron hot all by itself. Do you have something in a mixed drink that you just like are like,
I need to have a
little bit by itself and taste it?
Absolutely. I think the cinnamon one, which I had tasted it, but I hadn't opened the bottle till today.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't tasted it since then, so I could probably pour out a little bit. It's my shot glass.
It reminds me to when you and I started talking about this show before we even created it. I remember because we were in Craig Duswalt's house.
Yep.
And we talked about how we both like whiskeys. And the next day, each of us had a goodie bag full of freaking whiskeys for us to try, for the other person to try.
Yep. That was the funniest thing. We're like, I got stuff for you, and you're like, I got stuff for you. Loved it. That was just like perfect. We knew that we were there for each other and that we were going to do something together. We weren't sure what or how, but that it was going to work out pretty well.
We both, you know what, and you know what's cool about it is, you and I have different tastes when it comes to our whiskeys, all right? And that's just because of where we grew up. But you and I still have a passion for our whiskeys because of the fact that where we grew up, all right? And just because we grew up in different places that are going to give us different taste doesn't mean like, even though you may never be excited about every little whiskey I hand you, you're excited because you know I'm excited about it. And it's vice versa. I may not be excited about your whiskey, but I'm excited that you're excited about your whiskey. You know what I mean? That's the passion the two of us have together. Yeah.
Oh, if y'all would have seen us, we were like little kids, sitting next to each other going, I got this one for you.
We were like kids passing out Hershey chocolates.
It was hilarious. And so they were like, pouring, we're looking around, pouring.
And everybody's room. What do you guys have? None. None.
It was so much fun. And it was just kind of one of those things that just connected us, that we had something in common that we both absolutely loved and we wanted to share.
Yeah. That's exactly.
And that's when we knew that we had to share with all y'all. And we say all y'all because.
Yeah, with y'all. Because I'm from Texas. I can say y'all.
But I know the difference between y'all and all y'all. So because we have enough people, it's all y'all. That's that many people.
I gotta say though, all right, of the drinks we've chosen so far this month, all right, with our month, I'm now the happiest because the last 2 weeks, I don't know, maybe the cream-based White Russian type drinks I'm not into.
Yeah, and then the last week you also used the creamer, which is thicker.
Yes.
And that was like, I knew that's what I did not want.
Well,
That's
no,
why.
well, I mean, I love the Big Lebowski, but I'm not a White Russian fan.
And then you add this thick, sweet base to it. It just made it that much more. Yeah, I was like, I don't want anything too sweet, and that's why I went the direction that I went with just adding the spice to it. And that's again, and I do that with my cooking. So y'all, if there's something that you say, I don't like Fireball, well, then you see something like this and you
Then
go,
you find that. Then you go find others because there is more than just Fireball out there. Just like last week we found there's more than just Kahlua out there, right? All right, because everybody thinks, well, coffee liqueur. I get Kahlua. Kahlua is not the only one. They're just the biggest marketed name out there, right? Fireball just happens to be the biggest marketed name. All right. Now, Fireball, I'm sorry I'm going to say this about you, but you're not the greatest taste. Sorry.
You're not. And then you have all sorts of spice. There's Sailor Jerry's. There's Captain Morgan's. There's the Kraken. There's, so many different out there. And like we've mentioned before, if you can get the small little dude or the in between, pick that up. That way, if you don't care for it, you don't have to spend.
You only spend $2 and you throw it out.
Yeah, you go, don't care for it. Don't have to
That's
buy
what
it.
they're for, to sample.
Yeah. And and if you are a regular at a restaurant or a bar that you go to, sometimes you just have to ask, hey, can I get a little taste of it? Or a shot of it. So
I've always had a bartender give me tastes. Always. Like, you know what I mean? He tells me, well, this is the bourbons I have. Can I taste that one? Because I'm not sure, because I didn't have what I wanted, right?
It's like 31 flavors. No, you're not going to have 31 of each, but if you taste this one and you go, oh, I like that one, or you go, oh, yeah, no, move on to the next one, and then you tell them what it is about that one you did not like, then he'll help guide you on to the next one.
The bartender will know flavor, and he'll be able to guide your palate. And
they go, okay, here you go. And then they'll find one that's similar. If I'm going somewhere and I'll tell them, this is what I normally drink. But this is what I drink when I'm out. This is what I drink when I'm at home. And then they go, oh. And then a great bartender will figure out, you're going to like this, this, and this. And then they narrow it down to 2 or 3. Or they'll say, this one. And you go, sold.
No, when I used to go to craft breweries, like your independent brew houses, that, you know what I mean, they don't have your Miller Lite but you know what I mean?
Right.
How I got to learn taste was I said, the beer I like that's most well-known is Corona. Great, thank you. Now he would come back and go, hey, you give me 2 choices and try these 2 and tell me which one you like. And he'd give me tasters. So then I'd taste it and I go, oh, well, I like that one. Why? Because he had an idea about what I tasted based on what I gave him.
Yeah.
Right? That's what your Fireball is. You say, well, I like Fireball. Great. A good bartender who's got iron hot, all right, who's got the, you know what I mean, who's got the skunk, who's got all that stuff, a good bartender is going to go, well, you like Fireball. Can I get you to try something? Right? And when they do and you taste it, you're going to you're going to go home, throw everything of Fireball you got in the trash and buy this new, because that's what a bartender does. He's tapped into getting your flavor.
Yeah.
He wants that sucker to touch your tongue and have sex with it.
And you're going to keep coming back to it.
And you're going to keep coming back to him if you do. That's why he does it. It's not just well, let me pour you your favorite beer. No. What's going to bring you to life?
I was on Saturday. Yeah, so Saturday I'm part of the brew crew with this one group that's Run for Beer. And I bought the series because I figure, well, I'm probably going to go to more than 4 or 5, which meant, thank you, Stephen.
Stephen said we're awesome. Thanks, Stephen.
And so I bought the series. So that means whatever race they're having, I'm going to get in for free. And then on certain events that they're having, I get a discount. So on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day it was, I get an email reminder of this run on Saturday. And I'm like, I'm not registered for that one. So I just went in and registered. It was in this brewery in Washougal, Washington. It's 54 degrees by 45 feet. It's I don't think, because it has the degrees on the 1 and the 40, so 5440. It's in Washougal. And I've ran there before. Big story before then, why the first time I ran there. But it was a beautiful day, ran there. After the 5K, you get I get 2 tokens for 2 beers, and I usually wind up giving one away because I have to drive home. And so I had my beer, and I'm like, I'm done, relaxed. But when I went up to get my beer, I said, I want anything that's not an IPA. That's what I said. So it could have been anything from a light to a stout. So long as it wasn't an IPA, I was going to be a happy clam. And so he saw, I'm going to give you the most popular one. So he went and gave me this delicious lager that was so refreshing. And after he gave it to me, he's all tasted it. And I took a sip, and he's all refreshing after a run. I said, absolutely. I was very happy with what he chose. And he could have chosen anything except an IPA. But he knew I just ran a 5K, so he gave me something that's going to be refreshing on a hot.
Not waiting. Yeah.
Yep.
So
had it been a grizzly day, guess what? He probably would have given me the stout.
Yeah. You know what Gwen brought home this weekend?
What was that?
Most of you guys know that. I mean, I've gotten into the shows, the Yellowstone shows, right? On.
Oh yes.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
But Gwen found one of the things I have. We went to the 4-6s ranch. I have a 4-6s hat, a 4-6s shirt, but I got a Yellowstone vest, which I wear when it's a little bit chilly. Dutton Ranch, right? But she's like at the store, and they have this 4-6s IPA. So she gets me a can of it and comes home. What's the first thing I do with my boys here? I crack it open and pour it in a glass. Speaking of which, I don't know if you've seen the good news. I got to tell the good news on the show, by the way.
Yes, please tell the good news. That is so exciting.
We found out as a birthday present.
Before you get there, because we're talking about the Duttons. So one of the shirts that I saw that I need to get one made, but it says, don't, oh my goodness, her name just escaped me, the daughter.
Beth Dutton.
Beth. It says, don't make the Beth Dutton come out in me. Usually it's don't make the Latina in me come out. So it's around the Dutton. So I had to share that before you great news, because otherwise it's like, hey, so birthday present. Okay, go on.
So birthday present, because the month of September, which September 10th is my birthday, September 27th is Gwen's, and September 17th was my father-in-law's. So we didn't get to see the kids the whole month of September because we were traveling, or one of us was traveling and the other one was working here at the house. So the kids finally narrowed down to get a day to come by to do something. And I said, this past Saturday, which was the 8th, I said, no, the 8th would be the best. Come by after 4 p.m. because we'll be done our chores, or we can settle down from the stuff we've got to do at the house and relax for the evening. So we did. And they gave us a gift, which, the one bag for me had all the spices into it for barbecuing, for the grill or outdoor kitchen that I'm going to build someday, but I don't have the budget for it right now.
It'll come.
And then they gave a thing, a couple different clothes for Gwen, but then they gave a card to both of us. Okay. We opened the card, and out of the card falls 2 pictures. The 2 pictures are what do they call the sonograms for the baby? I'm going to be a granddad finally.
Yeah.
Gwen and I had no idea how much we wanted to be grandparents until that moment.
That is so exciting.
I couldn't speak for 6 minutes. They said I was crying. There's tears in my eyes. I was so excited. All right. And Gwen, literally, she said, she must have repeated it to me 17 times over the weekend. I can't believe how excited I was, not realizing how much I really wanted to be a grandma. So, and then they came back up last night because they're looking at a house close by. Please, Lord, get them a house close by. All right. I don't want to have to travel to Dallas to see my new grandson.
Right.
So, but they did they had a gender reveal in the cake. Okay. So we had to cut the cake open to find out what the gender was.
That's cute.
It was an awesome idea. So I'm going to have a grandson. I
Hence the blue behind you. Is that why you had the blue behind you?
That's the blue behind me. Yes. Yeah. Ecstatic that, like, I mean, I literally, when I found out, like, I just talked to my mom because I had construction workers here at the house doing stuff. And I was on the phone with my mom, video chat, to show her stuff to make sure that's what she wanted in her room. Right. And like 20 minutes later, I'm video chatting her again to try to do the gender reveal with my mom live on the phone. My mom's like, "Why are you calling me?" Because she didn't take the first call; she was at the second call. And my oldest son, Ruben, says, after this, your mom is never going to not pick up a call from you ever again.
Right.
So, mom's like, I think this is mom's first great grandchild.
Oh wow. Okay. And did you say, oh, and I forgot to tell you, this is where the nursery is going to go?
No. No. I'm excited because I'm like, well, Mom, we got to get your bedroom fixed out on the back because I got a spare bedroom. It's going to have to be for grandson when he comes over.
And she's like, wait, what? What?
Yeah, going to have you kidding? All the stuff I'm thinking about that I'm like, I guess I'm going to have to buy an extra seat to put on my John Deere for grandson.
There you go. Oh, that's cute. I thought you were going to say, for the vehicle. Didn't realize that. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
You
Very
kidding?
cool.
I never in my life thought I would be that excited about having a grandson. I was super blown away. All right, and ecstatic that I'm going to have a grandson.
That is so cool. So cool.
Now I get to spoil him and do all those things that, you know what I mean, that I used to, chase his father for.
Go do it.
No, all right, yeah, because I know we're 20 after the hour. I wanted to finish early tonight, and two of us have obligations afterwards. So let me tell you this story real quick. My dad, my brother Jim's youngest son, Brady. When Brady was a kid, my dad used to take Brady and make him jump up and down on the bed. And he's like, jump higher, because I used to beat the shit out of your dad for doing this. Yep, you can tell what kind of granddad Tim might be. So it was great news to find out. So, it was, but yes, I had quite a bit of samplings. Of course, my kids brought barbecue. They just found it. They found a barbecue place and they brought it. They had sausages, pulled pork, brisket, chicken, all the sides to go with it. We sat at the table and we just picked it all and feasted while they told us all this.
Oh, that is so exciting.
Yeah.
That is exciting. Oh, very cool. Yay.
It has been an awesome weekend.
Very cool. After a lot that went on in August to get this news, a couple months later, that is really cool.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. So let's close out our show with, first of all, we're going to give shout outs. Bartell Drugs, thank you for the page. We're gonna do a couple more things from your stuff throughout the rest of the shows over the next couple of weeks. Yep. We do appreciate you actually putting a page up there like that on the pumpkin libations and separating it. It's almost like a blog post to share with us ideas that we took quite a few ideas from your page, Bartell Drugs.
Yep.
So
thank you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Skunk Brothers for making a delicious cinnamon whiskey. Appreciate it.
Iron Wolf, thank you guys, man. I love you guys down there in Central Texas. Appreciate you guys as well. I appreciate you, my partner, for helping me run this show like this. Tell them about your business a little quick.
So I am Gladys with Insurance by Design. I help small businesses with their employee benefits in the states of Oregon, Washington, and California. I have my upcoming book, 101 Employee Benefits for All Budgets. That's going to be published pretty soon. I'll keep you updated on that. And this is my co-host.
Hey guys, I'm Tim Gillette. All right, Simple Easy Marketing. I help people do the online marketing and make it simple and easy for your clients to find you, get to know you, and buy from you faster. Go to simplyeasyevents.com. Find out the next time I'm doing a training class that will help you. Other than that, I'm just a normal guy who does podcasts.
Yes, he does. He loves it, and he's great at it too. This podcast would not be here if it wasn't for his tech savviness, because he did say to me over a year ago, you can do this on your own. And I said, no, I can't, because I don't have the tech knowledge to try to figure it out. So thank you, Tim. Appreciate you.
I'm glad we've been partners for a year now. So it's been really great that we've been doing this for a year. So tomorrow will be, so you know, my 10-year anniversary of doing podcasts. I did my first one 10 years ago tomorrow.
Nice. Before it was cool to have a podcast.
Before it was cool to have a podcast. Exactly. So anyway. All right, guys, we will see you next week. We're actually going to talk next week about, old fashions, because next week's going to be old fashioned week. Yep. And I don't know what you're going to, are you going to tell me what you're going to create, or are we going to surprise me?
I think I'm going to surprise you, because I'll probably, dig into my local bourbons. I might go with Four Roses. I might go with Foresters.
Then I'm not telling you. Then I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. Fine.
But it will be a delicious old fashioned. And for the rest of you listening, it's old fashioned week. So go to your favorite bar, order an old fashioned, or make one at home. Join us next Monday at 4:30 for.
I really want. I hope our listeners say next weekend, guys, 4:30 Pacific, 6:30 Central, and put in your ideas for what you want for an old fashioned. Because let me tell you, the old fashioned is a very well known drink.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites. Just saying.
That is my go-to. Besides, if I'm doing a Glenlivet 12 or an old fashioned, those are usually two things that I absolutely love to order as my go-to drinks, because they're comforting and they're delicious. And if well made, with a big cube. With a big cube.
Yep. Got to make it with a big cube. So anyway. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.